Claw marks. Claw marks is a spatial manipulation technique first manifested by code through Shibai Otsutsuki's DNA, later evolving into a versatile Shinjutsu. By swiping his hands across any surface, code creates portals known as claw marks, which link across dimensions. Once established, these portals can transport users or objects instantly, bypassing physical distance or spatial barriers. A user can also transmit parts of their body through these portals for communication or tactical positioning, such as projecting a mouth to speak or an ear to listen. This allows surveillance, remote intervention, or counterattack from unexpected directions. Unlike Minato's Flying Thunder God, which relies on seals and pre-marked positions, claw marks require no preparation. Their dimensional flexibility also places them beyond the absorption capabilities of Karma users. The marks are formed from a hybrid of code's blood and chakra, classifying them as physical rather than chakra-based constructs. This makes them immune to most conventional countermeasures. Additionally, the user can redirect enemy attacks through these marks, using them as temporary shields to absorb and transfer powerful techniques. In combat, claw marks function as both offensive and defensive utilities. Code once used them to dominate Ten-Tails and command a clone army known as Claw Grime. These creatures rivaled Otsutsuki-level beings, showing the military potential of this ability. During the time skip period, Code engaged Kawaki using claw marks to teleport instantly around the battlefield, forcing Kawaki into predictable reactions and disrupting his combat rhythm. The technique allowed Code to lock down Kawaki's movement and manipulate the battlefield geometry in real time.
Interesting, right? Here, we don't just watch anime. We live every character, every story, every emotion. Don't miss out on exclusive content and fresh takes you won't find anywhere else. Hit that subscribe button now and become part of the most passionate and creative anime community out there. Thanks for the support. This journey wouldn't be the same without you. Next, Otsutsuki cubes. Daikokin refers to the massive black cubes summoned by Ishiki Otsutsuki and later Kawaki through their Otsutsuki-based dojutsu. These cubes operate as both physical weapons and chakra suppression tools. When summoned, they possess immense weight and density, sufficient to crush enemies instantly. Their presence nullifies chakra sensing, blocking sensory-type shinobi from detecting allies or enemies. This disrupts coordination and disables tactical responses that depend on chakra detection. Only Naruto in Baryon mode was able to directly halt a Daikokin cube. During the battle against Ishiki, Sasuke was nearly killed when one of the cubes descended upon him. Boruto intervened using a compressed Rasengan to temporarily deflect the attack, underscoring the cube's destructive potential. These cubes affect not only the physical realm, but also the psychological space of a battle. Once deployed, they become obstacles that interfere with team strategies, positioning, and vision, altering the pace and structure of combat. Ishiki's use of Daikokin was methodical. He dropped cubes to separate opponents, forcing them into isolated engagements. This neutralized the combined strength of Naruto and Sasuke, who relied on synchronized movements to counter Otsutsuki techniques. Kawaki, inheriting this ability, employed the cubes in similar fashion. In post-time skip battles, he weaponized Daikokin not only for damage, but to suppress opponents' chakra-based communication and support systems. Sukuna Hikona. Sukuna Hikona is a size-altering Shinjutsu used by Ishiki Otsutsuki and Kawaki. It enables the user to shrink any non-living object, including weapons, energy-based constructs, or even their own body. The technique operates at a speed that creates the illusion of teleportation. Even Sasuke's Sharingan, with its advanced perception, struggled to track the instant transformations. Shrinking and reappearing occurs without delay, allowing users to evade attacks, hide weapons, and launch surprise counters from unexpected directions. The technique does not affect living beings not directly connected to the user. However, extensions of the user's body, such as a chakra rod or external tool, can be affected. Jugan, who acted as a vessel for Ishiki, used Sukuna Hikona to manipulate objects while remaining undetected, often using it to gain initiative during combat exchanges. Kawaki replicated this usage. During a confrontation with Boro, Kawaki reacted faster than Sasuke had in similar situations. He shrank his own body to evade a high-speed strike,
then countered while Boro was still exposed. Sukuna Hikona gains strategic power when paired with Daikokin, another Shinjutsu tied to the same dojutsu. By shrinking a weapon and storing it in a timeless space, the user can summon it instantly at full size during combat. This tactic overwhelms even highly experienced shinobi who cannot anticipate attacks from stored dimensions. Kawaki combined both abilities to bypass standard spatial awareness and conceal his offense until the last moment. In the story, Sukuna Hikona reflects the shift from chakra-based combat to divine mechanics. Amado designed Kawaki's modified body with this Shinjutsu in mind. It serves as a countermeasure against Otsutsuki-level threats and demonstrates how science began to replicate godlike techniques. Sukuna Hikona bridges the gap between ninja tactics and dimensional warfare, changing the rules of engagement. It also shows the evolution of Kawaki as a shinobi, one who depends less on direct confrontation and more on absolute control over space and time within battle scenarios. Daikokin. Daikokin allows the user to store any non-living object in a separate dimension where time does not exist. Because this space is frozen, objects do not decay, age, or change. The user can summon the object back into reality instantly at will. This gives the illusion of materializing weapons or constructs from thin air. The ability is often used to surprise opponents or disrupt formations. Ishiki primarily used Daikokin to summon black rods in battle. These rods pinned down opponents or created pressure in close combat. Because they appeared instantly and without warning, they interrupted enemy rhythm. When combined with Sukuna Hikona, which allows for size manipulation, the user can shrink objects, store them, and then return them at full size. This creates seamless transitions between defense and offense, all executed outside normal time flow. Kawaki later applied the same technique in a different context. He used Daikokin to imprison Naruto and Hinata inside the timeless dimension. This act removed two of the most powerful shinobi from the story without direct confrontation. It served as a turning point in the narrative, shifting Kawaki's position from a protector to a controller of fate. Daikokin gave him the means to alter outcomes without destruction. Karma Seal. The Karma Seal is a Shinjutsu inherited by Boruto Uzumaki from Momoshiki Otsutsuki. It functions as both a compressed backup of an Otsutsuki consciousness and a power amplifier. When activated, it alters the user's physical capabilities by boosting strength, speed, and sensory awareness. It allows the absorption of chakra-based attacks, grants the ability to fly, enables space-time transportation, and conceals chakra presence. The seal also transfers combat knowledge. Boruto inherits Momoshiki's experience, allowing him to predict techniques and react accordingly. This makes him effective even against veteran shinobi. In battle, Boruto used the Karma Seal to absorb jutsu from Code and neutralize his attacks. He combined high-speed movement with aerial evasion, creating an advantage in open terrain. Against Mitsuki, he demonstrated rapid repositioning and control of spacing. Narratively, the Karma Seal represents Boruto's transformation into an Otsutsuki. This places him at a level above conventional shinobi, shifting his role from a village-based fighter to a planetary defender. The Karma Seal becomes essential in conflicts involving gods or entities like the Shinju. It bridges the human and divine scales of combat, placing Boruto in direct opposition to threats beyond ordinary reach. The weakness of karma lies in its limitations. It does not work against natural energy or physical phenomena outside chakra. This means elemental forces, like real fire, remain effective. However, within the chakra system, karma makes Boruto resistant to most known ninjutsu. As of the time skip, Boruto fully synchronizes with the seal. His ability to erase his chakra signature allows for stealth operations against even the most advanced sensors. Jugan. Jugan is a unique dojutsu possessed by Boruto Uzumaki. Its nature remains undefined, but it demonstrates properties associated with all three great ocular abilities, Byakugan, Sharingan, and Rinnegan. Jugan can detect chakra flow, see through invisible barriers, and track dimensional portals. It also allows Boruto to sense negative emotions and locate chakra points and weaknesses. Even at a young age, Boruto displayed the ability to perceive dimensional fluctuations using Jugan. During the time travel arc, he identified Urashiki's portal before it emerged. He also tracked the movement of opponents by reading muscle tension, similar to the predictive analysis granted by Sharingan. These observations allowed him to counter attacks from Momoshiki and avoid fatal strikes despite his limited physical ability. Toneri Otsutsuki referred to the Jugan as the Star of Hope. It was described as a key to changing the future path of the world. From a storytelling perspective, this positions Jugan as a late-game ability with high narrative value. Its incomplete form suggests future growth tied to Boruto's development and the evolution of conflict involving the Otsutsuki and the Shinju. The Jugan enhances strategic vision. It does not offer direct offensive power, but it refines decision-making in battle. Boruto can see openings, sense malicious intent, and respond with precision. The ability to cross-reference emotional states with chakra behavior gives him an edge in reading enemies beyond technique alone. Preient Vision. Preient Vision is a unique Shinjutsu attributed to Kashin Koji. It allows the user to observe multiple possible futures at once. The concept draws from Buddhist philosophy about the 10 directions, referring to all spatial and temporal possibilities. Through this technique, Koji is able to map out branching timelines and prepare for outcomes before they occur. The technique is not used in direct combat, but instead functions as a strategic foresight tool. Koji uses prescient vision to plan around global-level threats. He predicts the rise of omnipotence and prepares Boruto by training him with techniques from futures that may never materialize. In one potential timeline, Boruto mastered the Flying Thunder God. In another, he used Rasengan Uzuhiko. Koji gathers fragments from these timelines and combines them into a single training path. As a result, Boruto develops skills without following a linear progression. The technique influences the plot at a structural level. It explains why Koji knows about key future events such as Ishiki's death or Naruto's Baryon mode transformation. It also clarifies his deep involvement in Boruto's evolution. Prescient Vision turns Koji into a narrative architect, directing Boruto toward the best possible outcome. In doing so, it shapes the story by minimizing catastrophic futures, such as the destruction of Earth or the complete rise of the Shinju. Unlike other Shinjutsu that act in the present, Prescient Vision operates in the domain of potential. It creates a model where timelines compete and are overwritten by decisive action. Koji uses this to limit the influence of omnipotent forces like Ada or Code. Although the technique does not influence combat directly, its real strength lies in manipulating the long-term survival of key characters and guiding them through converging points in time. Reflection. Reflection is a passive Shinjutsu ability wielded by Daemon. It activates when he makes physical contact with any person. Once contact is established, any killing intent directed toward Daemon is reflected back to the attacker. This reflection is not limited to actual actions, but includes even thoughts or subconscious aggression. The technique affects both the user and the person Daemon is touching, granting shared invulnerability. The mechanism behind reflection is based on intent rather than movement or technique. If an enemy tries to strike Daemon, they suffer the same effect instead. The more lethal the intent, the more powerful the reflection. This creates a defense system that operates before physical engagement occurs. In combat, reflection prevents opponents from initiating attacks, since any form of aggression results in their own destruction. This ability removes Daemon from traditional combat logic. He does not need to evade, block, or retaliate. Reflection acts as a constant deterrent. In one encounter, a hostile shinobi was instantly killed upon attempting to harm Daemon. No contact was made, and no technique was exchanged. The intent alone triggered the fatal return. Because the reflection also covers those he touches, Daemon can extend protection to others like Ada. From a narrative perspective, reflection positions Daemon as a unique threat. Even Otsutsuki members cannot engage him without exposing themselves. The lack of counterplay or technique-based counters shifts the structure of battle when Daemon is present. It also provides Ada with a form of indirect immunity, which strengthens their role in the story. Reflection is one of the few abilities that bypasses both power scaling and technique versatility, relying solely on mental conditions to activate its effects. Urashiki's Blue Rinnegan. Urashiki's Blue Rinnegan is an anime-only Shinjutsu that expands the standard capabilities of the Rinnegan. It grants the ability to reverse time by several seconds. When sensing incoming danger, Urashiki uses this to reset the timeline briefly. This creates the illusion of teleportation or precognition. The technique functions as a feedback loop, allowing him to repeat encounters and refine his reactions based on accumulated experience. The main advantage of the Blue Rinnegan lies in its predictive utility. By experiencing multiple versions of a moment, Urashiki gains insight into how opponents act. He then selects the most favorable timeline to execute a precise counterattack. This makes him difficult to strike and harder to surprise. However, repeated use places a mental and temporal strain on the user. Since Urashiki processes more time than everyone else, it increases cognitive fatigue. In combat, he uses this ability against Naruto, Sasuke, and Boruto during the time travel arc. He avoids attacks with near-perfect timing and launches counters that appear premeditated. Despite this advantage, he fails to dominate his opponents. His dependence on repeating time reveals a limitation. Once predictable, his tactics lose effectiveness. Naruto and Sasuke adapt by coordinating attacks that disrupt his loop timing. Creation of All Things. Creation of All Things is a divine Shinjutsu attributed to Hagoromo Otsutsuki. It functions by combining Yin chakra, which represents spiritual energy and imagination, with Yang chakra, which governs physical vitality and substance. By merging both energies, the user can create life or matter from nothing. This technique does not require hand signs and operates through willpower alone. Hagoromo used this ability to create the nine-tailed beasts. Each beast was formed by imagining a shape through Yin chakra and giving it substance using Yang chakra. This process defined the foundation of the shinobi world's chakra system. The technique does not serve direct combat roles, but influences battle indirectly through the existence of powerful entities like Kurama or Gyuki. These tailed beasts participated in large-scale conflicts, including the Fourth Great Ninja War. In terms of narrative impact, Creation of All Things defines the transition from divine origin to human adaptation. Most jutsu used in the modern ninja world are imitations of this principle. The very concept of molding chakra to perform techniques originates from this ability. It introduces the idea that all chakra techniques are derivative and imperfect versions of an absolute original. Although Hagoromo never used the technique in active battle, its influence extends to every major conflict in Naruto. The appearance of the Ten Tails, formed by merging all tailed beasts, ties directly back to this Shinjutsu. Without it, the modern shinobi system, its hierarchy of power, and its entire historical progression would not exist. Creation of All Things functions as the narrative cornerstone of the chakra mythos. It explains both the origin of power and the limitations of the current generation in replicating divine techniques. Omnipotence. Omnipotence is a unique Shinjutsu possessed by Ada. It allows the user to rewrite reality by manifesting their desires into the physical world. This includes altering memories, identity, and perception on a global scale. The ability functions without direct action, operating instead through subconscious intent. It is compared to a divine programming language that modifies the world's data in real time. Unlike Genjutsu, which targets individuals, Omnipotence reshapes objective reality. Once activated, it cannot be undone by conventional means. Killing the user does not reverse its effects. Its first known manifestation caused the entire world to forget Boruto's true identity. Instead, people believed Kawaki was Naruto's biological son, while Boruto became a fugitive responsible for Naruto's disappearance. This shift persisted for 3 years, with no evidence or logic able to break its influence. In battle, Omnipotence does not provide offensive capabilities. However, it makes Ada immune to aggression. Her subconscious desire to be loved prevents others from attacking her. This passive defense renders her untouchable. Characters exposed to her presence lose the will to harm her, regardless of their mission or loyalty. Only those who share her bloodline or belong to the Otsutsuki clan are immune to this effect. Omnipotence resets the structure of the Boruto narrative. It alters alliances, power dynamics, and character motivations without direct confrontation. Sasuke, Amato, and a few others begin to notice inconsistencies. They question gaps in memory and physical evidence. Despite this, they cannot fully reject the rewritten world. This makes Omnipotence the most powerful Shinjutsu in the series. It controls not just individuals, but the flow of story itself.